has to line up at this the second edge here. Has to line up to work. Has nothing to do with tuning. And it's just tied on with a piece of leather. And that's all it is. Very simple. It's not glued on. So there are these are 6-hole flutes. There are 5-hole flutes out there. It just depends on the makers. But for teaching purposes, we only use 5 holes, not 6. And so I'm right-handed, and I keep my bottom 3 fingers on the bottom 3 holes, the top, my left hand on the top 3. And it's just getting your fingers trained to not use that hole. And there's a reason for it. These holes on the bottom of the flute, they're also serve 2 purposes by this flute maker. They are for tuning when the flute is being made, because he starts drilling the holes out of different sizes. It uses a guitar tuner to get, for example, for the key of A. And these also are to honor the 4 directions, so that when you play your song or your prayer, it goes to all the directions. Not all the flute makers do that. But, so, anyways, let me tighten this up. The reason why you don't play that hole, I'll show you. This is a flute. This is also the key of A. It's made by a different maker. This is a Lakota style flute. This is supposed to be a loon. A lot of bird flutes come from that area in the United States. So this is the key of A, and I will not play that hole. I'll play the 5 notes, and this is what I'll hopefully teach you to do. Now if you play that hole, this is what it'll sound like. Doesn't sound so good to your ear. We're not used to that. So for teaching purposes, if you can, this hole stays covered. And when you put your fingers over the holes, you gently put the pads of your fingers, rest them on the holes. Some people do this, put the ends of their fingers, and that's not how it works. And if you don't have the holes covered completely, you might sound like this. And that's letting air in. It'll squeak. Like that. And there's nothing magical about how you blow it. You just blow gently. I'm not doing anything different, just blowing gently in there. And so when you learn how to play this instrument, you can do all the little tricks. I mean, there's people that play this instrument, well-known, world-known, that have, like our Carlos Nakai. He's one, entertainer of sorts. Mary Youngblood, she's one of the top female performers who plays. Robert Tree Cody, I've met him. Kevin Locke, also he's Lakota. He's traveled the world and played this instrument. He's also a hoop dancer. And so, this instrument is played in soundtracks and just all kinds of different things. So, anyway, let me see. I want to see a show of hands of those of you that want to try to learn how to play this. And that way, I want to make sure I have enough flutes. So, I got 30 flutes. I know I've got more flutes than people. And so I can see some hands. Okay. Now don't start blowing it as soon as you get them. Just wait till, looks like everybody lined out here. See some hands up? You want to try it? Sorry. No difference. No difference at all. It should sound the same. Oh, Roger, okay. Well, I'm going to pull some more in the box. Okay. Any more hands? Okay. And 1, 2, 3. You 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. You. I got plenty of flutes. Yeah, I got more than enough flutes. You can never have enough flutes. Because I own probably about almost 30 of my own flutes. But I had to have about 50 flutes because I was teaching workshops and folk life. And we usually get about 40 to 50 people.
What's your name? You know the Clinkets had a flute?
Yeah.
The Clinkets had a flute with 5 or 6 tubes together.
What they mean, like pan flute?
Yeah.
Big Roger.
Should have tried making that.
I have pulled out enough.
Bamboo.
Okay, and
Make a flute.
2 more.
With a
Two.
good fire.
Did you want to try? Okay, 3 more flutes. I got, like I said, I got plenty of flutes.
Did you have food when you grew up? No. No bamboo. No trees. Well, there's driftwood under it.
I remember making cake with willow.
Oh.
Cut a piece of willow and soften
We
it.
used to do something that reminds me.
Soften the skin and then slide it out and cut it off.
Grass. I don't know.
Grass. Yeah.
I'm Yaqui heritage. So I'm not Hispanic, Latino, Chicano. I'm Yaqui. That's what I say. That's a term that's very stereotypical. And so I didn't know, because when my parents became American citizens, they became very westernized. And so my parents, as I was growing up, said, well, what am I? Oh, you're half Mexican, half Arab. Oh, that's it? And so this desire to learn, my father was from Morocco. That is the Middle East. It is in North Africa. My father came to the United States on the Andrea Doria. It is a very famous Italian steamliner that sunk in the Atlantic when it was hit by the Stockholm. Fortunately, my dad came across before it sunk. And so he had an uncle. I won't tell you my entire life story, but how I came to be. He had an uncle that lived in San Diego. His uncle was a veteran of the Spanish Civil War. His uncle's wife was German. She has left Germany during World War II with her sister because her sister married somebody who was Jewish. It wasn't good to be Jewish in Germany in World War II. And so they left Germany. And somehow they got together, the uncle and his wife. And so she is the one who named me, and I called her grandmother. I never met my grandmother on my mother's side because my mother was orphaned at 4. Her father died, and she was orphaned off because she came from a poor family. And so I'm still learning about my mother's side, who's still alive, who lives in California. My dad was remarried and lives in Baja, Mexico. When my father came to the U.S., he worked on his uncle's chicken farm to help pay back for getting him over to the United States. And on that farm, he met a worker that was from across the border, or I like to call it the imaginary border. And so he said, come and meet my familia, my family. So he did. Oh, and by the way, they had a common language. They speak Spanish in Morocco. They also speak French and Arabic, as well as they do in Algeria. And so my father was able to communicate with him. He went across the border and he met this family, and there was an adopted girl in the family. They didn't like each other at first. After 2 years, they got together. Of course, here I am. And so I'm the oldest of 3 kids. And I'm the only one interested in culture. I have been to my father's country in Morocco. I was able to communicate with them. I don't speak Arabic, I do speak Spanish. I don't read or write it. But they do. My cousin spoke Spanish, so I was able to talk to them. So as a 7-year-old kid, I was just a kid. To me, it was no difference, rich or poor, white, black, or brown. So I really enjoyed that part of growing up as a kid, being there. I also found out that my grandfather was a flute player, but I didn't find this out until 7 years ago when I played my native flutes for my father. And he looked at me and says, your grandfather was a flute player.